between Isaac Atencio and Anatoliy Dudchenko. There is Isaac Atencio, 19 years old, from Denver, Colorado, 6'1", just a half pound under that light heavyweight limit. He is 2-1-1 with a couple of knockouts. He opened his career with the knockouts. Since then, a 6-round loss and a draw. And here's Anatoliy Dudchenko on a night when we feature many Eastern European fighters, 2 Russians and Dudchenko from Ukraine. He is 6-2, all 6 wins by knockout.
Gentlemen, low blow here, trunks are high. Obey my commands, let's go.
James Jenkin, the referee for Dudchenko and Atencio. 6 rounds, light heavyweights.
Well, let's find out if Dudchenko knows how to fight tall, because that's what the doctor has ordered if Dudchenko is going to be successful. Obviously much taller than Atencio. But right now you see Dudchenko, even though he's taller, every once in a while you can see he moves in, gives up that height a little bit. You can also see the European style there of Dudchenko. Low left hand, tries to control range a little bit. Likes to take a little step back. Probably going to look for a counter left hook. A lot of the European fighters, that's their MO, Joe. Step back, try to catch your opponent reaching in a little bit, where you can tag him with that left hook counter.
We're going to talk about your up-close experiences with the Eastern Europeans a little bit later tonight, as in our off-season from boxing, you've been back to training. Anatoliy Dudchenko coming off a 4-round knockout here in California on December 18th. Started his career back in 2006. Now jumps in on Atencio.
Well, Atencio took this fight on only 2 weeks' notice. He's a smaller man, Joe. So the strength advantage may be to Dudchenko, and it's looking that way right now.
A flurry upstairs, yet to hit him clean, and then just pushes him down. And they are going to rule that a knockdown. It looked like it was a shoulder push. Obviously, Atencio was hurt. But I didn't see a clean punch land to cause that knockdown.
Well, I saw a right hand. He doesn't know how to get it. Atencio does not know how to get away from that right hand. He tries to hide from it. One problem, he hides in the wrong place. He hides over on the right side. When you hide on the right side, you're right in the path to that right hand.
Yeah, you're still there. You're not getting away from it.
It's kind of like your kids when they were little and they play hide and seek. They go right under the chair, right in the middle of the room. They say, I'm hiding, I'm hiding. And of course, they think they're hiding, but you can see them. Atencio thinks he's hiding from the right hand, but so far, Dudchenko can see him.
I know you've used different analogies through the years, but I remember once explaining that to my son and saying, hey, if you were on a train track and you wanted to get away from the train, would you keep running down the middle of the rails or jump off to the side?
And you told him Uncle Teddy told
That's right.
You that one. I remember my daughter, Nicole, when she used to play hide and seek, she'd hide somewhere on me, and I'd come in the room and say, hey, wonder where she is. All of a sudden I'd hear, I'm right here. And that's kind of what Atencio's
right
doing.
there.
Yeah, I'm right here. With the right hand, again, the right hand finds him first.
Mouthpiece comes out on that little stab jab flicked off the hip.
Mouthpiece, come on.
James Jenkin will take the time with the low in the action.
Dudchenko doing a pretty good job of fighting tall, controlling range, staying on the outside, and just using that left hand to set up the right hand. Just looking for spots.
Come to the end of round number 1. Anatoliy Dudchenko scored the knockdown in the opening stand.
Dudchenko lands the first right hand right there. That's what starts the damage. And then is what I'm talking about, where Atencio thinks he's hiding, but he's not really hiding. He's laying on the right side, not getting that head out of the way, and finally he succumbs to the final right hand.
Just bulldozing his way through was Dudchenko in that first round. So a 10-8 round to open things up here. We're scheduled for 6. Season debut of Friday Night Fights. Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you ringside here in Glendale, California. Dan Raphael and Brian Kenny in studio. Of course, so much breaking news in the sport this week with everything that's been going on with Pacquiao and Mayweather. Plus, we will have a good main event between Dionisio Miranda and Roman Karmazin, a significant fight for the future of both men. The punches in round number 1. Dudchenko landing the knockdown punch with the right hand and that flurry that preceded it, landing 15 of 46 in that opening round.
Well, this round early on, Dudchenko not doing much punching, doing a lot of feinting. But he's able to because Atencio not doing much more than just posturing, walking in, but not moving his hands.
Do it some more. Come on.
And again, you can see Dudchenko, he likes to feint a little bit. Try to keep you at a certain range where he can stay tall. And all along, you get the feeling that Dudchenko's just looking for a spot for that right hand. Doesn't really use the left hand to score or do damage. More as a measuring stick. And again, hoping either the right hand or maybe a counter left hook can be there.
Good night of Friday Night Fights for you. And tomorrow, starting at noon, we got a college basketball double dip on ESPN. Number 13, UConn. Number 12, Georgetown, followed up by Duke and Georgia Tech. That starts at noon tomorrow on ESPN.
You know, years ago, it's legendary that the great Willie Pep won a round without throwing a punch because of his defensive prowess.
6, 7, 8. You okay, boy? Let's go.
Guillermo Papaleo, the will-o'-the-wisp. And here comes a surge from Dudchenko.
Well, early on, Dudchenko was winning the round by only feinting. All he was doing was controlling range and feinting. He didn't have to do much more, and he still doesn't have to do much more. Because, again, Atencio walking forward, but the punches are few and far in between. You can see Atencio's confidence is completely gone. He does not want to cross that line, which would take him into battle mode, would take him into the territory where he would have to do something. He's content to stay out there and hope Dudchenko, for the most part, stays away and continues to fight on the outside.
Another round, same result for Anatoliy Dudchenko, end of 2.
There was a knockdown in the last round. Some people say I never saw it. Oh, it looks like that right hand almost misses, maybe grazes him a little bit. But then you saw that punch behind the neck. That's a punch where Dudchenko could have been warned, maybe had a point taken away for a rapid punch, but the referee declined to do so. Hence, a 10-8 round, the second one in a row for Dudchenko.
Commanding lead in just a 6-round fight.
Again, it's the right hand.
Ukrainian-born, California-based Anatoliy Dudchenko.
Again, all the damage and all the fear being administered by the right hand of Dudchenko to Atencio.
Teddy, in that last round, you brought up the mentality of Atencio, the fact that you can tell there's that imaginary line and that he doesn't want to engage and cross it and get into that place you need to get to. He got an earful from his corner after that last round with much the same point of saying, hey, you need to make the commitment of going to war here.
Well, you only need to make it if you want to have a chance to win. If you want to survive, you don't need to make it. That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
You don't know what's in the mind of the fighter, Joe. Because if the fighter just wants to make sure he can survive and fight another day without being suspended, without taking a chance of being knocked out, then he doesn't have to make that commitment. But you want fighters that want to win, obviously, and we would like to have that on our end.
How difficult is it, Teddy, to change that mentality in mid-fight when you know, I mean, you have had to train guys where you can see it in their eyes that they are just surviving, that they're not making that conscious decision to put forth the kind of effort you want.
Well, most people are that way going in. People born round do not die square. And, you know, once you get that mentality, if you had it going in, that's going to stay with you. You might change a guy's style, but his temperament, his makeup, what he is, that's going to stay. And again, you could see that Atencio does not want to make that commitment. And even when he does, he just puts his head down and he does it in a way where He's hoping that he can get in without getting hit. He's not confident in the way that he comes forward. He's doing it almost in a way we talk about it sometimes, Joe, where you run into the propeller of an airplane. You just want to get it over with. And that's not bravado. You know, that's not confidence. That's panic. I'll tell you one thing, Atencio would never make a good salesman. Because, you know, he'd knock on the door and he would never come in to try to show you what he has. When you're selling a vacuum or something, you have to go in there and, you know, actually demonstrate it. Atencio, I think, would be out on the doorstep, as he is right now for most of the night.
Now he wraps up on the inside when he did take a step forward. You're quick to see that left hand go behind the back of Dudchenko.
And Dudchenko, you know, it's easy to look real confident. He's looking very confident. He's feinting a lot. He's showing good body language. He's having fun. He's moving around. Maybe sometimes he imagines he's Willie Pep or Muhammad Ali. I mean, he can do whatever he wants. He has a fight in front of him right now who's not looking to engage. The fight plan's coming up a little later, but something to whet your appetite for the main event. Miranda, who's always playing, he throws a slow jab. That's going to give Carmazin a chance. Bang! Right hand. Don't go to the refrigerator. Could be over fast.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. You'll want to see this main event. Dionisio Miranda against the recent titleist Roman Carmazin, who lives in St. Petersburg, Russia, but finishes up his training here in the Los Angeles area with Freddie Roach. Of course, so much talk about Freddie Roach's Manny Pacquiao this week in the news. The fight against Mayweather absolutely blown up with the squabbles and negotiations over the drug tests, and the news today of a potential March 13th fight with Josh Clottey. Brian Kenny and Dan Rayfield will have much more on the news and analysis in the game coming up in the studio portion of Friday Night Fights. For right now, it is round number 4 between Isaac Atencio, who went down in the first round and the second round, against the Ukrainian-born Anatoliy Dudchenko in the red.
Well, one thing we know about Dudchenko is 6 wins, 2 losses with 5 knockouts. You know, 5 knockouts and 6 wins, you think, well, maybe this guy is a TNT puncher. He's not a TNT puncher. He doesn't have that kind of dynamite, that explosiveness in his hands. Otherwise, I think he would have gotten rid of Atencio, who acts like a guy who will allow himself to be gotten rid of if you give him enough of a reason. And again, Atencio took the fight on 2 weeks' notice. He's only 19 years old. Dudchenko, much more mature, 12 years older. And that immaturity of Atencio at 19 with the 31-year-old Dudchenko, it is playing itself out right now. It is showing itself.
How so?
Just in the hesitation, the doubt in the posturing of Atencio, just that he will not commit himself. He does not have the mental togetherness to do what needs to be done at this point of the night, with him being so far behind. And again, you see Dudchenko a little bit like Carmazin we're going to see in the main event. Not as good, not as complete as Carmazin, but Carmazin likes to control range. He keeps his left hand down low too, Joe, like Dudchenko does. Carmazin punches more and gives more dimensions. But similar with keeping control of range and trying to get your opponent to walk into traps every once in a while. And there's that counter left hook that Dudchenko was looking for. The problem with this style right now for Dudchenko is you can't get somebody to come into traps if that somebody doesn't want to come forward.
Now in the corner, fights out of there with a right hand, does Dudchenko. Coming to the end of round number 4, we're so glad to be back with you on a new season of Friday Night Fights after our hiatus during the football season, but a very productive time away from ringside.
See what the future holds for us. We're going to fight probably in March, of course, with a mandatory, as you touched on, for Klitschko's title. And we'll see how Klitschko does with Eddie Chambers. We'll see how that comes about, and then we'll be ready somewhere down the line to deal with the winner of that fight, whether it's Chambers or Klitschko. And as far as the Dr. Atlas Foundation, I just want to thank all our guys in the truck. They came out there, they did the filming of that, they lit the night, they made the night look as good as it could look, and they did it on their own dime. So these guys are as good as it gets in doing what they do professionally, and they have as much heart as any people I know. So I appreciate all of you guys, and I appreciate all the people that allow the Dr. Atlas Foundation the resources to go out there and impact people's lives, people that need help.
Round 5 here between Dudchenko and Atencio. It's been all Dudchenko early on. Scored a knockdown in the first and in the second. You know, Teddy, I remember for so many years since you stepped away, and you know, people last saw you on the heavyweight scene with Michael Grin. You said time and time again, you know what, I have no interest. People were approaching you, top-level guys, pay-per-view attractions, guys were, I mean, I saw it all the time being on the road. What was the deciding factor? What made you say, yes, I'm willing to go back and work?
Well, they asked me to come over to Russia. They asked me to evaluate them for a week, 1 week stay. And I saw a guy that I thought I could help. And if you think of yourself as a teacher, that's the component that never goes away, is that you want to teach. And you want to teach in a situation where you can add something, where you can help somebody get to another point. I saw him, I saw what he had, and I thought maybe I could help him get to that point. And right now, it looks like Atencio may not get to the point where he finishes his fight.
Third knockdown of the evening. James Jenkin is asking him, do you want any more? And he gets a respite here as a slow wash of the mouthpiece.
Well, we said it right at the top. We want to be honest all the time with our fans. We said, hey, the undercard, not the strongest in the world, but the main event, nice and solid. And the good news is that main event is coming up.
Main event's coming up. You'll hear more from Brian Kenny and Dan Rayfield coming up. And then Roman Karmazin and Dionisio Miranda. Miranda, a slugger, a guy who has stepped up under the TV lights before and come up with big wins. Karmazin at his very best, a very skilled combination puncher who digs to the body and has power, and he wants to get back to title contention. Both men have a chance to do that tonight in our main event. It is an IBF title eliminator.
You know, it's funny, we talked about how Atencio won't go through that line, but Dudchenko, even though he's ahead in the fight, it's not his temperament to really finish you.
Let's check in with Brian Kenny. All right, thanks, BK.
Take a look at this knockdown. This is what you call a think about it knockdown. There's the right hand. About 3 seconds later, he thought about it, and he decided to go down.
He said it's much more comfortable down here on the canvas rather than being hit by Dudchenko. Atencio has not been in this fight at any point tonight. Dudchenko in complete control. 3 knockdowns through 5 rounds. 6th and final round right here. And has the look of a guy that wants to finish it right here. A flurry, a series of punches, wide and sweeping before Atencio wraps up.
Well, again, I started to touch on it at the end of the last round. Dudchenko really doesn't have the temperament, even though it's all him. And he's in a one-sided fight here with Atencio. Dudchenko's temperament is to not go get you, even when he's got you. And I think you see that right now.
That was an interesting conversation, by the way, that Brian and Dan were having about Tomas Adamek and Jason Estrada fighting. We've had both guys throughout their careers, Teddy. We've called their fights ringside. What do you make of Estrada? What do you make of Estrada and Adamek?
Well,
let him go. Let him go.
With Adamek, I mean, Adamek's a nice, solid fighter. I mean, I like Adamek. I like to watch him. He's a fighter that makes good fights, pleasing fights.
And Jason Estrada going up against him?
Yeah, I mean, Jason Estrada, you know, it's the right step. If you're going to move up from cruiserweight and you're going to fight heavyweights like he's doing, well, you want to pick a heavyweight who's not a heavyweight puncher.
Yeah, doesn't have a punch.
You know, Estrada, you know, he was a good amateur. He represented the United States Olympic team back in 2004. But one thing he can't do, he can't really pop. He's got quick hands, but, you know, he's not a threat. So you're moving up. And if you make a mistake, if you get caught by the bigger guy, you're not going to pay the ultimate price. So you understand the strategy. You understand the thinking behind them when they pick Estrada as an opponent. Also, Adamak, you know, he's got dimensions to him. He can fight with you. He's a warrior. He can box a little bit. He can use the ring a little bit. You know, for the most part, Estrada's right there in front of you. Quick hands, knows how to fight, but he's not going to deal with movement real well. So you got your choices. You can pop in front, or you can go around the block on him a little bit. So you understand, again, Adamak and his people moving up to heavyweight, making that choice, and why they're making that choice.
So that fight is coming up. We'll be talking about so many fights in the coming months. Get our interest, including potentially on March 13th, Josh Clottey and Manny Pacquiao, the word that has come out today. Talked about survival for Atencio earlier tonight. Well, if that was the goal, he's about to reach it. But never had a chance and was nowhere near this fight as Dudchenko dominated throughout. We'll come back and hear from the judges on Friday Night Fights. Joe Tessitore, Teddy Atlas back with you ringside on Friday Night Fights. This was a complete blowout in our swing bout here as Anatoliy Dudchenko, 3 knockdowns scored 60-51. Let's send it up to the ring to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds of action, we have a unanimous decision. All 3 scored about the same, 60-51 in favor of the winner, Anatoliy Dudchenko.
So the 7th win in the career of Anatoliy Dudchenko. Our main event is just moments away, and it's going to be a good one. Dionisio Miranda and Roman Karmazin. But first, we visit once again with Brian Kenny and Dan Rafel.